Northern Arizona has a lot to be proud of. Aside from having one of the 7 natural wonders of the world, Northern Arizona is home to some of the best mule deer hunting in the western United States. Hunting the kaibab in late November during the rut is a big game hunter's dream. Great genetics and healthy herds make for high success rates and quality hunts.
I was lucky enough to draw a kaibab Northern Arizona deer tag for the second time in the last, I think, 8 years. I got lucky this time with only 4 or 5 points. The kaibab is just such a cool place for deer. The habitat, the terrain, you never know what's going to be around the next tree. The 220 deer or a 170 deer, you never know. There's just so many deer, and it's just such a cool spot.
I really enjoy mule deer hunting. It's one of my favorite types of hunting just because of the challenge that they are to actually find a true trophy mule deer. Our prime method of hunting these mule deer is getting on a high point and glassing. Good glass is very important to have out here so you can see and evaluate these deer at long distances. Here in Arizona, one of the most efficient ways to get your scouting for mule deer is running trail cameras. We set a few cameras up and you know, they really helped us out on some of the bucks that were moving in and out of the area. They can move quite a bit, you know, daily or be homebodies and kind of just rut in the same place over and over, day in and day out. I really enjoy the outfitting that I get to do every year and the hunting that I get to do. It puts me in some of the primest hunting areas across the Southwest in New Mexico and Arizona. It's really a fun job, challenging at times, but overall you can't beat it. It's one of the best jobs, I think, out there.
With opening morning on the horizon, it's time to pack it up for the evening and start thinking of a play for first light.
We got down here in time to do a little pre-scouting. We got slowed up a little bit on opening morning, came across a doe stuck in the fence. We're anxious to get to where we need to be opening morning, but we obviously are going to stop and help this doe get freed up.
Hey, hey! Now we need to grab him, but careful. Hit him hard. Stretch her out.
The baby she might have one day might be a world record, but it was definitely worth, you know, the good karma for us stopping and got her out of the fence successfully, and off she went.
The first and last hour of light often hold the best opportunities to catch a big buck on the move. With no bucks spotted in this area, it's off to the next ridge. With the rut at its peak, if you find a doe, odds are you can find a buck as well. After stopping to check several does only to find small bucks, Bryce spots something moving in the brush that is neither a buck or a doe. The Best of the West is brought to you by the Wild Sheep Foundation, Huntin' Fool, the Best of the West Shooting Systems, Defiance Custom Actions, Hornady, accurate, deadly, dependable, Huskama Optics, and LongRangeStore.com.
Out of the corner of my eye, as we're doing about 40 miles an hour down the dirt road, I caught a glimpse of what I thought was either a coyote or a bobcat. We locked him up, backed up, and sure enough, a big old tom bobcat just sat on his haunches and gave us the stare down.
Nice thing is these bobcats sometimes they're a little curious, and curiosity killed this cat this day.
That's a good tom. Dude, that's a big old tom, bro.
I want to get one mounted.
That's a good one to mount,
That's a good
bro.
one, damn.
Look at how
good one.
freaking fluffy he is.
He's a cool color too.
Bobcats are common in this area, but the chances of getting a shot at one are still pretty slim. After a few quick smiles for the camera, Bryce and the crew get right back to the task at hand.
They look better in the bobcat all in one mount.
The most proactive approach to hunting this country in the daytime is to cover as much ground as possible. With bucks still fighting for does, it's possible to see a big buck anytime and any place.
He's really helping out, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm blasting my ass off. Eyes are peeled, bud. Here we go.
So one fun thing about down on the Kaibab is the Kaibab squirrels that are unique to this area only. And during the day when the deer are bedded, it's hot, there's nothing to do. On a regular hunting license, you can take and harvest these squirrels.
Holy crap. Oh, that's good stuff there. Rednecking, baby.
In the middle of the day we decided to kill some time and come hunt these pretty cool Kaibab squirrels that are only native to this area of the whole world. So we got the air gun out with the side shot, and it's been pretty fun to film them and shoot them and take them back and eat them. They're actually really good.
One of the coolest parts about these little guys is their ears. They look like they have bad ears up in the tree. Looks like they almost have horns. Then with the white tail, the black body, and the red down its back, pretty unique. So we've been told that the males will actually go up in the nest when these are first born and actually chew the testicles off of the young ones so they don't have to compete with them later on. And we have some of these we've shot do not have a package, so it's kind of crazy.
Speaking of little nuts, when the Best of the West continues, things get a little nuts for Bryce and the guys when the buck of a lifetime steps out at last light. Keep it right here on your Long Range Hunting Authority.
Hey, I'm Kevin with Best of the West. For this week's product review, I'm here with Thane Simmons from Side Shot. We're going to be talking about recoil management and follow through.
We'd like to thank Best of the West for bringing us out here today and letting us show them the Side Shot. The Side Shot, it's got a lot of great uses, not only for filming your hunts, but also to use it as a training tool. And that's what we're going to be doing today, is we're going to be taking it and using it to show you recoil management. We'll have a shooter, we'll also have a spotter. The spotter is going to be able to see if he's canting the rifle back and forth, if he's staying on target, when and where he pulls his trigger. So it's going to show you a lot of things that you typically don't see that's going to help you be a better shooter, help you manage your recoil better on your rifle.
So the first thing setting up for a shot we need to consider is the platform. Today we'll be using our Husqvarna Prone tripod with our flatline opt roll bag. That gives us 2 good solid points of contact on the rifle. The next thing we're going to want to consider is grip pressure, grip torque, and shoulder pressure. Each rifle can be different. It's something I recommend experimenting with, shooting groups at 100 yards or 200 yards with your rifle, seeing what it likes.
I pulled left.
Yeah. Another important part of shooting is your trigger squeeze. It's mostly just important to stay consistent. You want to always try and use closer to the tip of your finger. It allows you to pull straight back, let it surprise you going off. Another very important part of shooting is your cheek weld. It's mostly important that you stay consistent, find what works for you. Shooting today, I noticed in my follow through, going back through footage, that I may have too much cheek pressure. My shot wasn't tracking as straight back as I'd like. Shooting left-handed, my shots would tend to kick to the right on my follow through. I lightened up my cheek pressure and allowed that to track more freely. Something I really never knew until using the Side Shot.
That was good. You stayed on it really well that time. I'd like to thank Kevin and Best of the West for inviting us out here today. It was awesome to be able to go out here, shoot at long range, and have the Side Shot help us with recoil management and show us what we did right, what we did wrong. Went a little right, but you did pretty good. You let the gun come up and then come back down.
So I hope if you can take anything away from this week's shooting tip, it will be if you can minimize the amount of movement in your rifle before, during, and after the shot, it'll greatly improve your accuracy. I'm Kevin from Best of the West. Hope you enjoyed this week's shooting tip and product review.
We decided to go back to this area that we had been glassing, and we knew if we set up from this point and glassed this area that we was bound to turn up a good buck. We sat and glassed, and right at dark there was a giant buck that came out about 450 yards. Ended up getting spooked and hightailed it out of the country.
Even though Bryce didn't get a shot off in time, he knows exactly where to be at first light.
We hunted all morning, we glassed forever all morning, and it was winding down, starting to get hot. The deer were all bedding down, and we glassed a bobcat, another bobcat. We couldn't believe it. So when we glassed it up, it took us a second to figure out what was going on. It had a giant roadrunner in its mouth that looked half the size of it itself. Bryce said, "Get on the gun, it's your turn." So I laid down there, and it was a long ways off, but I knew we could do it. It was trotting along, it finally stopped. I let her fly with the 28 nozzler.
Ooh, headshot it.
It was exciting to get my hands on it and to pick it up and run my fingers through it and have a piece of action on this hunt myself. It was awesome.
Pretty dang cool critters.
The Best of the West is brought to you by the Wild Sheep Foundation, Huntin' Fool, the Best of the West Shooting Systems, Defiance Custom Actions, Hornady, accurate, deadly, dependable, Huskama Optics, and LongRangeStore.com. For more information about hunting with David Matthews Outfitters, please call 928-300-6405 or email at dmoutfitters@hotmail.com. For more information about the products and gear used on today's show, please visit LongRangeStore.com or call 1-866-754-7618.
I think it was the second to the last morning of the hunt, and as we were glassing, didn't see any deer, but all of a sudden we could hear the horns crashing, and my heart skipped a couple beats because we knew that there was 2 bucks battling. And we grabbed our stuff and started running down through the sage and junipers, headed to where those bucks were. Got over to where we thought we could see him, and all we could see was a cloud of dust. And it was one of the coolest things to see, that cloud of dust. We couldn't see the bucks fighting. We could just hear them just in one of the most epic battles you've ever witnessed. And these 2 bucks just battling it out. So these 2 bucks were fighting. There was a big typical and a non-typical.
It's right there. He's just come out. You see his head?
Deciding which one to shoot, and I decided that, well, obviously the one that won the fight was the more dominant buck, and he was the non-typical. He was kind of the one I was leaning towards anyway, but I hadn't made my mind up at that point where I was gonna shoot or not. But as I seen this big old buck walking away stiff-legged and knew that he was the king of the hill for that moment, I decided, you know, between the story of him fighting, you know, I couldn't not, you know, shoot that deer, and it was always something I'll remember. So right as he was walking out of sight, I had one last window, and I think I surprised a few people and shot right as he was exiting our shooting lane.
Yeah. Hit him again.
After I shot, he kind of stumbled around, and I was able to put one more shot in him to put him down for good.
Nice, dude. Oh, shit.
Dude, to see the 2 bucks fight like that and then shoot one
That
of
was
them.
awesome.
Holy cow.
Look at all that.
It was pretty cool. We walked over there and you could see all the marks on the desert floor where they had fought and battled, and deer hair everywhere where they had just torn each other up, and it was quite the experience to witness that.
Dog.
Congrats, Stud. Congrats. What an epic battle. Those 2 bad boys down there.
Once in a lifetime experience to see that fight.
Look at that, there's freaking hair on the horn still.
So it was kind of mixed emotions after shooting the deer, because you know, you don't want the hunt to end, but to come home with a really nice Kaibab deer is a pretty cool memory that I'll have hanging on my wall for a long time. Be able to hang out with your friends and spend quality time together. You know, shooting a deer is just a bonus, but hanging around your friends, you know, is the true experience of the hunt. Glad we have the Best of the West 28 nozzler here. It's nice to know you have a awesome shooting gun that you got 100% confidence in. Have these 2 bucks just fight and fight and fight. And then this one walk away the winner. It was kind of a no-brainer. Also like to thank my good buddies, Kevin, Trevor, Justin. It's not quite the same when you're not hunting with friends, so thank these guys for coming down with us. If anybody's looking for an awesome deer in Arizona, New Mexico, Davey Matthews Outfitters is your guy.
Thanks for watching this episode of The Best of the West. Please join us next time for more long-range hunting adventures.